my name is Angie Tucker. I am secretary and board member of Revelation Gardens, which is a Benton County nonprofit working to reduce the number of pets in need in our community. We started a weekly podcast called Our Weekly Pause on Sundays at 2. Today we're doing 3 to talk about all things related to pets. Today's topic is It Takes a Tribe. Before we jump in, I'd like to remind you of our founding scripture, Revelation 21:4. He will wipe every tear from their eye. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. So you see we have 4 people here today. So we're going to start. This is Joelle Costa. Joelle, tell us what you do.
I guess now the director of Benton County Animal Shelter.
All right. And
I'm Deedra Finch. I'm the volunteer coordinator and on the board at the Benton County Animal Shelter.
okay. And here is
I'm Donna Harris, and I'm founder and president of Revelation Gardens.
And I already told you who I am. So we all have met together today because we want to talk about what is involved in dog and cat rescue and the importance of a tribe or a team working together to create a better life for animals in need. So we want to start, and um, I think everybody is full, and so we're all looking for ways to improve what Benton County does for these animals. I know that Dawn gets tagged all the time on kittens in need. I know you guys are full, full, full. And so we want to talk about how to help animals and why maybe collaboration is going to be good for us. So we're going to start, and I want to know what your thoughts about the topic, It Takes a Tribe. And I'd like to start with Dawn because she really has her heart in this idea.
Yeah, well, from the beginning, Revelation Gardens has been formed for 3 years, and from the beginning, it became really evident quickly that this is something that one person or even one organization can handle on their own. And so I've been trying to figure out what some solutions are, and we all get busy with just day-to-day care, caring for the rescues and maintaining the organization. For me, working also, but underlying all of that has been this notion that we need to somehow work together better. And I don't know exactly what that looks like, but I'm drowning. I know the shelter's always full, and don't have enough resources. The other rescue in town, Alona, with Don't Be Cruel, they're always full and looking for donations and help with transports and tangible items like, fencing and so I don't know. I just thought, I only know my own perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to just start a conversation, and not that we're going to necessarily come up with all the solutions today,
Mm-hmm.
but let's open it up and let's see what we can do together. Because I know together we can accomplish more, and it's all about the animals. And so let's start the process, start the journey.
Yes. And one of the things she's saying is it takes a tribe. And we're talking about these people as being our tribe, but you guys
Absolutely.
are part of our tribe. Benton County is our tribe. And so as you listen to our ideas and things, please feel free to comment or to write to Revelation Gardens and give some ideas because I know that working together with more minds together, we come up with much better solutions than just one person on their own. So tell me, what do you think about It Takes a Tribe?
I definitely agree that it takes a tribe, and I've been an animal rescuer, rehomer for my whole life. Like
Yeah.
I've always had adopted pets, found pets of those nature, but really involved with the true government shelter since about March, April of 2020. So a little over a year now, and what I've noticed from that is when you're involved with one organization, you wind up getting involved with another organization, and then you wind up getting involved with another. So right now, I'm involved with about 4 organizations that are all doing the same thing, and I do different things for different organizations. But it definitely takes people of all walks of life, people that have an hour a month, people that can spend 5 days a week, and everything in between. And I think that's why it's important to be sure that we know it does take a tribe and of all different kinds of people. And even something very small like an hour a month could be really beneficial. So,
Mhm. That's one thing I thought. I know she was talking about transport and things, and for a while, one of the things I did was we had a West Tennessee Animal Rescue at the time, and I would go pick up the dogs at Dr. Pascal's, and I would drive them to the interstate to meet the bus. And like, and so that was what, 30 minutes? Well, 45 minutes every week that I just, or however, whenever it was time. And so sometimes people think, well, this one thing I do is not going to matter, but at that moment, that's what we need. And if you can do that one thing that one time that month, hey, that's what we need. Yeah, yeah. All right, Joelle, what do you think?
I mean, I've only been doing this for about 2.5 years, and I've seen so many things. Like Deedra, she drives transport vans for lots of other rescues. Their Humphreys County takes animals from us, and they go all the way out of state to like Michigan up north, and that takes a whole lot of people to do that. There's like getting health checks, all kinds of stuff. There's no way one person could do all of that. That would just be ridiculous. And like you said, you get involved with one group, and then multiple groups just collide. I've met a lot of groups, Revelation Gardens, multiple all throughout the area.
All right. So how can we make life better for the dogs and cats of Benton County? So I would tell you, so one thing that I think that I'm really concerned about. So the other day, I live right next door nearly to Revelation Gardens, and I know she has all these cats, and so I was trying to give all her, get people to come in. They would say, I'd say, look at these kittens. I went around my church and go, don't y'all want a kitten? Because she has so many kittens. And then all of a sudden, there's a mama cat under my house with 4 baby kittens. And so I talked to her and I was trying to figure out what I could do. And so I thought, well, maybe it wouldn't be so hard to feed some outdoor cats if we got them fixed and made sure they're okay. Well, I'm feeding them, but like 5 more cats have shown up because there's food out. And I'm like, no, I don't know if I can feed 50 cats. And so it just, we're sort of lost in what to do. So one of the things I love that Dawn has done are the grants and hearing about like spay and neuter feral cats and releasing them. I think that's a really, because a lot of these I'm sure are just feral cats that are coming to my house. Now the mama cat's letting me hold her and love her, but maybe that's because she's in town and people pet her and stuff like that. But I think the more grants that we can get for spay and neuter, I think spay and neuter is going to help a lot. And that's hard to talk about in Benton County because some people, like I know a guy who even got his dog neutered, but Dr. Pascal put in fake testicles so he wouldn't look that way because he's a man and he didn't want his dog to look less of a man. I love that guy, but he did that. So sometimes spay and neuter it's a kind of a weird conversation, and it shouldn't be. So that's my idea. What do you're trying to say something? So I'm ready.
Now, I think that the spay and neuter is the key. But I think the problem that I've encountered is people need support with spay and neuter, or maybe they just don't even know they need to spay and neuter. So it's kind of like backing it up to like, this is what you need to do for the health of your pet, for the health of the other animals in the community. And then even if we can have something that's based on income, it still is like steps. It's like people have to take all the steps to get their pet spayed and neutered. They have to understand why they do it. They have to access funds to support them with that. And then they have to follow through with actually making the appointment and getting it done.
Wow.
And what I see is people are interested, but the follow through isn't there.
Oh yeah.
So making it an easier process for people seems like that's an important thing, as well as the community cat population. It's called the TNR, Trap Neuter Release Program. But that kind of has to be community supported as well.
So like maybe a good idea to throw out there. So people are looking for ways to help us but don't know how to help us. What if they could be a step in that process? So somebody applies for the spay neuter grant and we have a person that says, okay, I will make the appointment for that person. I will go pick up that animal. I'll take it to the vet and I'll bring it back to their house.
Yes.
They don't have to go through all the steps. And see, that's something I'd be willing to do. And I think a lot of people who love animals, that would be something, you're not having to take care of a pet for weeks.
Yeah.
People worry about fostering and it messing up their house, but it would still be something that would be neat.
Yeah.
We need to,
Excellent point.
yeah,
I like that.
yeah.
Yeah, I've done TNR multiple times, and because my neighborhood is filled with cats everywhere.
I know where you live.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're everywhere, and
Mhm.
I mean they're just repopulating all the time. And I did trap one, and I was gonna go get it fixed, but I saw it was already fixed, so I just let it back go. I was so I guess somebody's doing something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it was somebody or somebody's cat that got away.
Somebody's
Yeah.
cat, yeah. I mean, it's the same ones. I've named them all.
I know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's what's happening at my house. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh no. But there were two gray that looked just alike, and I'm like, oh no.
I mean, the same thing. I mean, you can't TNR a dog, but same thing with dogs. I mean, there was a while at the shelter we just nonstop got black and white lab mixes, and that was all we were getting in. And it's happened with multiple breed, like all the time. So,
Same dog. Yeah.
same type of dog.
All right. Well, what do you think, Dawn? Have you said anything about how we can better help dogs and cats in Benton County? Have you got an idea?
I have a ton of ideas. We follow up with the spay and neuter conversation though. So I take care of a couple homeless colonies, and I have not been successful in trapping them. I have tried for so long, and they continue to have kittens. In fact, one I think just had kittens this morning.
Oh.
I've been trying. I actually had her. They don't have a lot of scruff of skin on the neck when they're really pregnant, so I couldn't really hold on to her. But I got her, and then she got away before I could get her into the carrier. I have tried traps, and they just look at me and they will wait me out. I would have to sit there for days. In fact, I have one here in the shop that I trapped. I was trying to trap a kitten, and he went into the trap, and so I brought him here, put him in the room, but he launched over the wall because we don't have walls that go to the ceiling. And he's been in the shop for 6 months, and I can't get him. So I tried. He was in the back. I got him trapped in the back, and then I put a trap out there, and he would not go in it. And somebody told me to try a small box of cat litter, like a mini cat box, and litter box. And I tried that, and he didn't go in there, but he pooped all over his food bowl outside of it. So they outsmart you. I think it's going to take a mini tribe to do that as well. Um, so I think it's critical, but the way I've been approaching it is not working. So we need to like come up with a team attach uh, tag team type of an approach where somebody will stay for a while and another person comes in, and we just don't feed them until they're all trapped. But then where do we put them?
Yeah.
So I'm full here, and I had a room set aside, but then people keep bringing me their animals, and they're telling me I'm just going to let it loose, or they're going to be euthanized, and so I can't say no. How do I say no to that situation? So their spot filled up here. So I'm thinking we do need to do the TNRs. At least they'll be fixed, and I can continue to feed them for a period of time. But then we get into the budget part of everything. So it's like nothing is really a super easy solution, but it's a step in the right direction. Some of my other ideas, and this is a conversation that we'll have to continue to have, but with the three rescues in town, one being a shelter, one being a nonprofit, another being not just kind of neither of those, but doing rescue work. Do we each focus on an area as well as some of the other things that we're doing? Does one get more involved in transport? One do more cats like I'm doing? So that's something I've kind of kicked around is do we focus on an area of the problem and do it really well? And of course, there's going to be some of the same stuff that we're already doing, but um, so that's something I thought we could think about. Do we do something like that? Do we work more as a collaboration? Um, I don't know. I mean, we all have separate funding. You're county funded and volunteer based. I'm volunteer based and donation based as far as how we fund ourselves. So these are some of the questions I thought we could, think about and continue to talk about. But I think a big piece to all of this is fosters. Having that really strong foster base that people, can bring animals into their home. But your point about them helping in other ways is super critical too.
Mhm.
But we don't have room. Um, we were actually formed to do a completely different thing. We were supposed to bring in pets whose owners died, and then we just started bringing in anybody that had a need. And that's why we started our community outreach program to help pet owners keep their pets. But we're always falling short of that. There's just such a need in so many different areas. I would eventually like to see Carrie Counseling step in and provide some services to help pet owners be more equipped for all aspects of their life, including pet ownership. Education in the schools. I mean, it's just such a big thing. So many tentacles. Maybe you could help with that. You're a teacher.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, but these are some of the things that I think we could start talking about as a tribe, and figuring out how we can better serve the community and the pets. And is there an area that we're most gifted in? I'm not so great with the interpersonal communication and making connections. I'm more creative and coming up with events and a storefront and all of these different things. So maybe figuring out what our gift is and then maybe work with that more or something. I don't know. These are my inner thoughts, that I've been kind of mulling over. So
Yeah.
Well, the Benton County, like the animal shelter board, we've been kicking around the idea of like we really need a nonprofit to support the animal shelter because we are very limited on what we can spend our funds on because it is government funded. So if we had most, I'm going to say most, county shelters have a nonprofit kind of support group that kind of helps support them with some other things that come up that aren't within the shelter's government budget. And so that's something that we're hoping to get going next month actually for Benton County Animal Shelter. So I feel like when you just have so much more freedom when you're a nonprofit and you have donations, you can really target your spending more. So I think that's something that's on the horizon that makes it a little bit easier for the shelter to be part of the community problem. Because like at this point, if someone brings us a dog, we have to take it. We can counsel, like, is there something we can do? Could we provide food? Can we provide some kind of support to help you keep your animal? But if someone wants to give their dog up, we can't say no.
Right.
And we only have the limited ability to say no for cats as well. So that's why we wind up so full, is there's not enough other supports.
So let me ask another question while she's talking to him. So Dawn's wanted to create collaboration between Revelation Gardens, the Benton County Animal Shelter. So this is sort of what we've been talking about. Another rescue in town don't be cruel. So we are more effective at helping pets in our community. Um, so collaboration wise, what are some ways that you see? So I was wondering, like we have an event for Revelation Gardens. How can y'all be a part of that too, so that maybe we're all working together?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the dog life?
Yeah.
We had before the Dog Days series started, I think the former director had discussed with Dawn like bringing adoptable dogs because generally y'all have adoptable cats and kittens and we have more adoptable
Yeah,
dogs.
yeah.
But one thing that we've kind of run into a little snag on is we never know what dogs we're going to have
That's right.
on the day of the event. And we may not have a dog that would be
Super great to bring out.
No, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, a lot of our animals aren't leash trained.
Yeah.
They've not been spayed and neutered yet.
Right.
A lot of them are heartworm positive, so you're supposed to keep
Yeah.
them calmer. So it's like we don't always have great candidates
Oh.
for adoption events. We
Mhm.
got very lucky this past weekend
Yes.
and had an adoption at an adoption
Yeah.
event, but we had one dog to take.
Yeah, and I was the only one that went to that.
Yeah.
Again, volunteers and stuff is another big thing.
Was that at
Tractor
Supply?
Supply in
Yeah,
Parsons, yeah.
I saw the picture and it was at Tractor Supply and I was trying to figure out why it was
Yeah,
at Tractor
and
Supply.
I'm like, I double booked myself. I had heartworm treatment that weekend, and I had this, so I was the only one that could go. So I just took one dog because that's
Right.
all that I can handle myself.
And see, that's back to
Mhm.
surely there are people who wouldn't mind going to
Mhm.
adoption events,
Yeah.
right? I don't know. I don't know if my life, since I don't have children, is not as busy as everybody else's or what. But, doing it with their children is what I think is really neat.
Mhm.
You know, we've had lots of families come in and do things with their kids, bring their
Oh
kids
yeah.
to do it. So
Mhm.
yeah, getting families involved. I wonder. So that makes me think, like you were talking about education, like I could have some speakers come and talk about the importance of taking care of their pets and all that with my classes. And I wonder if we could have some kind of event where we talked about families, how families can work together to help the animals in Benton County.
I just talked with the a gal at the library and
Oh, that'd
just
be a good place.
just
Yeah.
approached the idea of doing some sort of a speaker series or just an event or something at the library, and they were very open to that.
Oh, yes,
So
library is awesome. I didn't ever think that's a
yeah,
good collaborator.
yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully something will happen.
Okay. All right. Because I was thinking, um, you know, these things that we need, like people coming to help at a adoption event, people helping, even fostering. Um, if we had an event where family came and we could tell how, just like I'm doing a podcast later this month about pets and kids, and that's something they learn responsibility and they learn leadership and stuff like that. And so that I would be glad to speak at something at the library.
Perfect.
Yeah, because that's my speaking is
It's your
my
thing.
goal. Yeah, that's my skill. All right. So I've got one question that has two parts. So, what is the greatest need in Benton County? But what are some solutions regarding pets in Benton County? What do you see at the shelter as being one of the greatest needs in Benton County?
Um, Fosters, volunteers, the people in general being there, and learning more about what it means to be a county funded shelter. Um, that's a pretty big thing because a lot of people have no idea. Um, it county. I have a lot of people come in and say, "Oh, this is a no-kill shelter." No, it's not. All county funded facilities are. So I'm constantly having to explain that to a lot of people. They just don't really know a whole lot about what it is.
So that means that when you're full and you
Wonderful.
can't, you have absolutely zero capacity, you have to
We
get
don't
help.
have a set date or anything, and we've been very lucky. We haven't had to do that for a very long time. We've been super lucky because we work with so many rescues,
Right.
and we do have some good adopters and stuff because we do have some good people who step up.
Yes. What I love is that when we had West Tennessee Animal Rescue, the sending them up north, sending those
Mhm.
pets up north to
Yep.
be adopted was just a lifesaver.
We I mean, it would be very bad if we did not have all these connections. But thankfully we do, and we've been very lucky so far.
So far, and that's the
So
thing. We
far.
want to, we don't want to get overwhelmed, and
Mhm.
we always feel like, don't we always feel like we're just on that precipice of being overwhelmed?
Yes.
And it would be nice to have just this little step back where we could kind of go, oh, we're helping the animals of the county, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So that's your greatest need and solution are the volunteers and helping in all those areas. So what do you think?
Well, as the volunteer coordinator, I do agree. Volunteers just make everything at the shelter go smoother. And one thing that we've really noticed, especially this past month, is when volunteers can just take over a little something from the staff, so the staff doesn't have to worry about that. So, like Joelle and I have been working together a lot on trying to get animals out for transport. And then this one particular transport organization is who I drive for. So, I feel like it's kind of a win-win. Like the Benton County Animal Shelter wins because we get to send a lot of dogs up north. And then also it makes it easier for our rescue partners to know who's at our shelter because I'm keeping them updated all the time. So that really works well together. But if I'm doing that, then the dishes are piling up if I'm volunteering and the laundry is piling up and the dogs aren't getting out of their kennels and the
Yeah.
cats aren't getting much enrichment. So any little thing that volunteers can do, and that's our big thing, is like an hour a week, come in, do a tub of dishes, do a couple of loads of laundry. Anything you do like that that takes the burden off of the actual shelter staff to be able to do some of these extra things is beneficial.
There's numerous things you can do. There's even things you can do like not even physically being there. We have a lady now who literally just comes in for like an hour or so, plays with some cats, and she gets every single cat out, plays with every cat. I mean, we do have some really good regular volunteers.
Yeah, one of our newest volunteers has been incredibly helpful with when animals get adopted at the shelter that aren't spayed and neutered yet. They have an appointment made at the vet, and then the adopter picks them up from the vet, but we have to get them to the vet.
Right.
Mhm.
And so she has been volunteering just to come pick those,
Right.
pets up and to take them from the shelter up to Camden Animal, which is,
Well,
5-10 minutes
yeah,
down the
yeah,
road,
I
but
did
like,
that on my way to Walmart.
yeah, but it like
Yeah.
saves the shelter staff from having to physically leave the shelter and then come back and
Mhm.
so even like that, and she's done that maybe 3 or 4 times over the past couple of weeks, and it's
Yeah.
just been a huge help.
And that helps, especially because I mean, it is a small staff. There's not many of us there, um, and so that helps a whole lot.
And I've told Dawn that about, like, she does everything,
Mhm.
and she gets so overwhelmed, and I wanted somebody. I didn't want it to be me, because that's my the cleaning thing is so hard for her, and I was like, if somebody could say, I'm going to come on Mondays and I'll feed the cats and clean the rooms, and that's what I do. And I said, so could we make a list that somebody could volunteer every day. Of course, I know people will call and say, "Oh, I can't even come in today," but the days they can do it, that those little things. Sometimes we don't realize how those little things take so much off of her. She is constantly cleaning litter boxes,
Mhm.
sweeping, vacuuming, because it's a store, and so
Mhm.
it can't. She has to make it
Mhm.
presentable
Yeah.
every single day, and you do too. Y'all can't have this shelter be
Right.
not
And this is
presentable.
half the equation. I also have a sanctuary,
That's
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
but that's not open to the public.
Right.
Yeah, sometimes
So,
just meeting the basic needs of the animals when you get so full, you're really just getting them fed. You're making sure they have fresh water if they're on any kind of medication, and you're getting their space cleaned up. And that's literally all you can do. I mean, like when you're really over full, like at the shelter right now, it just takes so many hours just to meet their basic needs.
yeah.
So
It's about 6, I think,
yeah,
a day.
yeah, oh yeah.
Mhm.
So it is kind of like those little things, a person running a cat to the vet or doing this or that really does kind of help in the long run. So the Cheatham County Animal Control, I met with their volunteer person just a couple of weeks ago, and they have a similar situation like you're talking about. They use Sign Up Genius, which is an online web-based, and it's pretty much here are the slots for the dogs, here are the slots for the cats, and everyone just goes in and you know puts in when they can come, and
Yeah.
they may come an hour, they may be able to come an entire afternoon one day a week,
Yeah.
but it's kind of a way to organize and keep up with who's coming, when they're coming. And that's kind of what we're wanting to head towards that way at Benton County Animal Shelter, but we're in a little bit of a holding pattern right now because of some staffing changes. And until that kind of gets a little more settled down, we kind of hesitant to start something new and then have a new person that may or may not be on board. So we're kind of waiting to start that. But yeah, hopefully in the future we would love to get to the point where we had enough volunteers to actually have a sign up and spread them out. And if you wanted to come once a month, fine. If you wanted to come once a week, fine. Whatever works for people.
Right.
So
And we just did our volunteer orientation day, and that was super great. We've gotten a few more volunteers. We have a mother and daughter who are fostering this little baby kitten
Yeah.
now, and they have offered to bottle feed any bottle babies we get in. So we've gotten that. Every single dog got walked that day. Like it was, they were all super tired, but it went great.
Yeah. That's what you want them to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was quiet.
Oh, yeah. But, that's what I always have trouble. I'll tell you, one of the reasons I've never volunteered at the shelter is I've always been so scared of seeing a dog there in need, and I don't have room. And I hate to say I don't have room, but I mean, I have a little tiny house. I have 4 dogs, 2 cats, a bird, 2 guinea pigs, and now I have 4 kittens and a mama outside, and I just get so
Plus,
plus all the other strangers who've come up, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I come up here and help too, but that was because I was so afraid that I would know they were going to be put down and I wouldn't be able to stand it. But like you said, you hadn't Helen, and I should come up and walk dogs because she gives me plenty of kittens to play with, but she doesn't give me any dogs. Yeah.
Oh, I've foster failed my dog.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, my dog's foster failed.
Mm.
I've fostered multiple, and I know she has dog. She transports them, so they stay the night at her house.
Yeah.
I have overnight guests.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she
About
has
every week.
overnight guests.
Yeah.
oh, that's
She's
awesome.
she's got both of her dogs two out of the three.
Yeah.
Two out of three. Hmm.
I love cats, but I love dogs too, and I only have two at the sanctuary, and so I miss that. But obviously, it's harder to have dogs here, and I'm full at the sanctuary, so
Right.
yeah,
She lost her fencing is one of the biggest reasons,
Oh,
yeah.
and the tornado. Sorry.
And yeah, and plus, if it's a puppy, they take a lot more work, and I'm not there.
Yeah.
I feed everybody, and then I come here for the day, and then I go back and take care of my evening chores. But puppies need a lot more interaction, and the two I have now, they do interact really well together. But if I brought in more, I would
And
need to
they're old,
supervise, and I just don't have the time right
aren't
now.
they? They're really old dogs.
No,
They're
those two
not?
passed. They passed.
Oh, they're two old ones.
I have two young,
Oh, okay.
I think 3 years old, and they're both about three, I think.
Okay.
We lost we lost our one of our play yards to one of the recent storms.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we're bound a yard right now.
Oh, no.
Mhm.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to just say about fostering is it's kind of scary to foster, I think, for the first time, like, because you have that, like, you you want to be helpful and you want to foster. You don't want to adopt every animal
Yes,
that you
yes,
take in the
right.
shelter. So, but like having like these overnights after I started transporting, and like my husband, he was very kind of like, I don't know. And I was like, these dogs are going somewhere. We're just giving them a day or two to decompress before they take their journey up north.
Right.
And so I think people think I'm going to foster this dog or cat and get stuck with it.
Mhm.
And it's really, there's usually a need is for like a month
Mhm.
or like even just a week sometimes. Or like we get puppies into the shelter, and a shelter is no place for puppies to be.
Right.
Could you take these puppies for a couple of weeks until they go on transport? So there are a lot of short-term opportunities as well. Or when a dog, because we're fixing to have this week, some sponsors paid for a dog to have heartworm treatment.
Mhm.
Well, for the month after heartworm treatment, they're supposed to be kept calm,
Yeah.
crate rest, a lot of just downtime. Well, it's really hard to give a dog downtime when it's 30 other dogs
Yes,
barking. They get
yes.
worked up.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine actually is going to come foster, and he's just fostering for 4 weeks.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully
I
more.
mean, maybe he'll be a foster whale. We'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
But like, it's a 30-day foster,
Yeah.
and then at the end of that 30 days, if he chooses to keep him, that's fine. But if he brings him back to the shelter, now that dog's going to have been in a home. He's going to learn a lot of like how to be a dog in a house skills. He's going to be really good at leash walking at this point, which increases his chances of being adoptable or being sent on transport up north.
Okay.
So like short-term foster is a thing, and bottle feeding kittens
Bottle
until they
feeding.
get to a certain weight where they can go, to be adopted. So there are other ways to foster where you're not going to get stuck with the pet that you have.
One thing that I have seen mostly by some of the vets and vet staff and shelter staff is like if a dog has to have a medical procedure, it's like really not a place to heal and recover
Right.
at the shelter. So that's another thing.
Mhm.
I've got one at my house right now, and that's something because what dog wants to have surgery and then go back to the
Yeah,
shelter and then all
absolutely.
that? So that is something else. But I know some of the technicians up at Dr. P's office have done that.
See, that's awesome. I think that, like, hearing that, like, being able to tell people maybe through some event, here are the ways you can foster, because that makes more sense to me. I know I won't have to keep that dog forever if it's healing from surgery, and boy, that's something I would really enjoy. I fostered a lot a few years back, and we had a bigger house, and one of the reasons I loved it is I loved getting a new dog to play with and see and stuff all the time. And so I didn't foster fail as much as I could have because I kept wanting another one. But I did foster fail a couple of times.
Because
And
you always get to see them go on somewhere.
yes, and one of the things that's so rewarding that we've talked about in our fostering podcast is seeing that dog that's kind of withdrawn suddenly blossom into a dog, and that's really wonderful to see. So, yeah, I think that's a good idea. So maybe we're getting some ideas out. If you people online
One
have
thing. Oh, go ahead.
ideas,
Sorry.
you can share too. So go ahead, Dawn.
Well, I was just going to say, one thing that occurred to me is when we strengthen the shelter, it absolutely helps us. Um, I mean, because when they have capacity, then it takes the need away that we don't have to fill that need. and that burden. And I'm always compelled to say yes, and it's really hard, especially when they bring them in.
Right.
They're right in front of you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for us, the greatest need I think is funding, and that is simply because I would love to hire somebody. I don't even get paid for this, so I would love to be able to pay somebody $10 an hour to assist me with the corporate tasks. Um, because I have a job, and so I have to balance my work so I can live, and then the corporate tasks, and then the direct care, and then trying to do marketing and outreach, and it's too much.
She has
And
like
so,
5 jobs.
well, I
Yeah.
try to do a lot of these
Yeah.
things, in conjunction with you, like the podcasts and the event series, to one, get our name out there and let people know that there are things, ways that they can help and things that they can be involved with. For us, the greatest need is money so that we can buy food and direct care supplies, and supplies, I mean, for staffing, to help us with staffing, because supplies are often covered by grants, but staffing isn't. And so that's our huge need. And then the solution, of course, would be that we could hire staff so that we could have more capacity to raise awareness, do TNRs, and that sort of thing. But I honestly believe that when we support the shelter more, I don't want people to forget about us, but when we support the shelter, then that takes the burden off of some of the smaller outlying rescues and organizations.
And even just donating basic cleaning supplies stuff to you guys, to the shelter. We have volunteers who come in and do pictures and photography. That's always something that everybody can use help with.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too because she has some beautiful kittens, and but she does a lot of online ones. And how people cannot come up here and get a kitten, I don't know. But
But it's hard to hold the camera
Yeah.
and try and get them, 'cause
Yeah.
especially when they're wiggly, like the newest one, Clark.
Yeah.
I'm now
Yeah.
calling him Clark
Yeah.
Kent. But yeah, he's a little wiggle bottom, and I can't get him on camera. Anyway,
All right. So, is there anything that y'all want to add before we close out today?
Well, one thing that I would like to say, like to the community, is I am a teacher also.
Okay.
So here in a couple of weeks, my my real job has to go back into effect.
That's
And
right.
so like June and July is completely dedicated to the animals and the rescue. But I work in Nashville, so I'm not here in the community as much when school year is in. So anyone in the community who would be willing to do more at the shelter, take advantage of these next couple of weeks to like get trained and maybe learn how you can help at the shelter and different things because like I can't be here as much. And so all the more help we can get, the better. And especially someone I think that's here in the community on the daily basis could really get a lot done,
Right.
you know.
Yes. You want to add anything in closing that you'd
No,
like the community to know?
I think we covered everything.
Okay.
Mhm.
John?
I think the main thing is stepping up in whatever capacity works, whether it's, like you say, an hour a month, or if you can come in, 5 hours a week, and whether it's at the shelter, here, both, just stepping up to help the pets in our community because there's such a need. So, getting that collaboration with the community, I think, is paramount. Being a foster and getting the word out, even just talking about the needs that are out there. We definitely need to work together. I think we have an epidemic of homeless cats here. It's nuts. Um, and they just continue to reproduce. So we need to do this as a tribe, as a team, as a whole community.
So what I kind of like to say in closing is, so one thing that I'm really enjoying doing with Dawn is I love the events that we keep planning and stuff. Guys, you can support us by coming. Please come. And I think it's great because our community, I hear a lot of times there's nothing to do in our community, blah blah blah, and I'm like, well, we had music last Friday. Why didn't you come listen? We had, and she's had vendors. So we have our dog days of summer, and we're still doing that. And we're talking about maybe a mystery theater sometime. And that brought me, your theater. And so come support our events. Bring your kids. We try to make them kid friendly. Y'all had events, and I know when you have a good turnout, it's so wonderful. And the community really is supporting when they come to our events. And we try to make them fun. It's not something you got to say, oh, I have to go to this event. I mean, I
The
got to
best thing,
shop.
yes, the
Yeah.
best thing on Friday night was when this family, actually several families came in and they brought their kids. The kids were singing with the music, and there was just so much joy and laughter. And they were hanging out with the kittens too, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was family friendly, and it was wonderful.
And it
Yeah.
didn't cost a dime, probably, did it? Unless they bought something off the food truck. It's
Mhm.
free. It's free
It's
entertainment.
free,
Yeah.
but
I mean,
the money part is, you're helping pets. That
exactly.
it becomes not I'm buying. I'm showing my children about giving. And I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So please come to our events. Our next event is what date?
August 20th.
August 20th.
Brooke McBride, she's amazing. She's from Nashville. Yes, you have to come and check out Brooke McBride.
Who do
Definitely.
you have an after hours one?
Not in the August event.
Okay.
There's no after party show that evening. There
There
will be
might be
again in
one
September.
because I know somebody. I'm
Oh,
gonna
well,
tell you.
maybe we will.
We'll see. So anyway, come August 20th to our event. Come by the shelter. Ask what you can do. I'm here for an hour. Let me walk a dog. Let me play with some kittens. Let me clean a litter box. Um,
Mhm.
do whatever you can to help. I love being from Benton County. Sometimes people talk bad about their own counties, and but when you're here and you've been here for your whole life, there's people I love in this community. There's people that love me in this community, and I know there's good people out there. And so please support our animals through supporting these organizations that are trying to help us with our pets. All right.
And
So
donate.
that's our podcast for this week. We'd like to thank Joelle, Deedra,
Mhm.
oh, yay. And Dawn for joining us today, and myself. We would like to thank our sponsor, Camden Animal Clinic and Fox Sanitation, for their support. Next week will be my book talk with my friend Joanne from California, and we are reading the book The Luster of Lost Things. It's actually a middle grade book, but it's about a little boy who doesn't speak very well, who has some trouble speaking, but it's also magical. He can find lost things, and he and his overweight dog go in search of something. So it's a book of, we always pick a book that has something to do with pets, and so we chose that because it has something to do with dogs. So remember, if you have a pet related question, email us at revelation.gardens@gmail.com. Same cat time, same cat channel, but guys, y'all know what? Read that.
Dogs rule.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
You have to hit